Welcome back everyone to our channel where we dive deep into the mysterious, fascinating, and often unbelievable world of rare and valuable coins that have shocked collectors and experts alike. And today we are about to uncover the astonishing story behind a seemingly ordinary 1975 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned the numismatic world by being valued at an incredible $23 million due to the rare and mind-boggling errors it carries, making it one of the most talked about coins in American history and a dream find for any collector or treasure hunter searching through old change jars, coin rolls, or inherited collections, because this small copper coin, born from the mints of the United States 50 years ago, has defied all odds and become a symbol of how one mistake in the minting process can turn a penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And in this long and detailed exploration we'll journey through every possibility, every minting anomaly, and every layer of intrigue that surrounds this 1975 1-cent piece that some experts claim is the most valuable error penny ever to exist. So grab your curiosity and stay with us as we unravel the story of how a coin that was supposed to be worth just 1 cent ended up commanding a fortune so staggering it could buy a mansion, exotic cars, or even a lifetime of luxury, all because of the rare and unrepeatable mistakes hidden within its small copper body. And the tale begins in a period when the US Mint was undergoing transitions. The 1970s were full of experimental adjustments to dies, materials, and production techniques, and 1975 was particularly significant as it came right between major design and metal composition shifts that affected coins in ways even experts couldn't predict. And though most 1975 Lincoln cents were ordinary, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams, and carrying the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor D. Brenner, a few rare examples emerged from the mint presses carrying strange errors that set them apart forever. And among these rare survivors was one coin that had such a complex combination of mistakes that it defied classification. A coin where even the most seasoned graders at top institutions like PCGS and NGC couldn't agree on how to categorize it because it showed characteristics of multiple minting errors fused into one piece, something almost never seen in history. And that's why it has fetched offers as high as $23 million at private auctions and collector negotiations, because its story is as mysterious as its appearance, with theories ranging from a double strike in collar to a planchette transition error to a wrong metal anomaly that may have come from experimental mint runs or even test strikes never intended for circulation. And some believe the coin might have been struck on a leftover 1974 aluminum planchette, since in that year the mint had briefly tested aluminum cents to replace copper, though officially all examples were supposed to be destroyed. So if even one aluminum planchette remained in the hopper in early 1975, it could have been struck accidentally with 1975 dies, creating one of the rarest transitional errors in US history. And if that's the case, its lightweight, around 1 gram, would immediately distinguish it from normal 1975 copper cents, giving it an unmistakable identity that collectors crave. But others argue that the coin shows a die clash so severe that parts of Lincoln's portrait appear mirrored into the memorial reverse, along with visible doubling on the date and the word Liberty, giving it a unique three-dimensional appearance under magnification that seems almost artistic. And some believe there are even traces of overpolishing or repunched mint marks that suggest multiple working dies were used and altered during its striking. And as if that weren't enough, there are also accounts that the reverse shows slight off-centering combined with die rotation, making it appear twisted at a subtle angle when viewed from top to bottom, something that enhances its visual uniqueness. And experts speculate that this particular specimen may have gone through several striking errors before leaving the mint, possibly being trapped in the press mechanism and struck more than once with partial pressure before finally being ejected, which could explain the ghostly doubling on Lincoln's eye, the distorted memorial columns, and even the strange texture of the fields which look almost proof-like on one side and matte on the other, leading to the possibility that this coin might have been struck with a proof die on a circulation planchette. Another anomaly that would exponentially increase its value, because crossover errors like this are almost mythical in nature, existing at the intersection of intentional craftsmanship and accidental misfortune, and the 1975 1 cent in question seems to embody that perfect storm of conditions where multiple minting stages collided, creating something so rare that it stands alone in the history of error coins. And its rarity isn't just about how it looks, it's about what it represents. A frozen moment in minting history where human oversight, mechanical imperfection, and historical timing combine to produce an object that transcends its function as money and becomes a priceless artifact. And that's why collectors around the world are fascinated by it, analyzing every detail of its strike, its luster, its edge, and even its microscopic die marks to determine whether it could truly be a transitional aluminum strike, a multi-strike mint mishap, or even a prototype piece that was never meant to exist. And the speculation has fueled intense debate, with numismatic forums and expert panels discussing whether the coin might have been intentionally saved by a mint worker or whether it slipped into circulation unnoticed, only to be rediscovered decades later in a coin roll or estate collection, as so many incredible stories of rare finds have shown. And imagine the astonishment of the person who first found it, maybe checking loose change or sorting through old jars of pennies, seeing something odd about the color, the weight, or the way the light reflected off the surface, and upon closer inspection realizing the date and lettering were strange, the strike slightly off, and that this was no ordinary coin at all, and after authentication by grading services confirming its legitimacy, the value estimates began to skyrocket, starting from thousands to hundreds of thousands, and finally into the millions as the full extent of its uniqueness became apparent. And today it stands as one of the most famous modern rarities, a coin that challenges our understanding of mint errors and reminds collectors that anything can happen during coin production. Because even with today's technology, the minting process remains a complex interplay of human precision and machine force, where one small misfeed or overlooked planchette can create something worth a fortune. And in the case of the 1975 1 cent worth $23 million, every tiny anomaly adds up to that staggering value. From the possible wrong planchette composition to the deep strike doubling and off-center alignment, each flaw is a piece of the puzzle that makes this coin so legendary. And collectors know that coins like this aren't just rare, they're one of a kind, literally irreplaceable, meaning that whoever owns it possesses not just metal but history itself, a singular artifact that connects the present to the unpredictable craftsmanship of the past. And that's why private collectors, museums, and wealthy investors compete fiercely to obtain such pieces, not only as investments but as trophies of discovery and perseverance. Because every rare coin tells a story of chance, error, and destiny, and the 1975 cent is a perfect example of how luck and knowledge intersect in the world of numismatics. And even though millions of 1975 cents were minted, the odds of finding one with multiple major errors are astronomically low, possibly one in hundreds of millions, which makes the story of this $23 million coin all the more captivating. And experts often use it to teach about die varieties, minting stages, and transitional errors, showing how minor variations in metal content, pressure, or die preparation can result in massive differences in rarity and value. And some enthusiasts even theorize that more 1975 era cents could still be out there, sitting unnoticed in coin albums or drawers, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and curiosity to uncover them. Because discoveries like this keep happening even in recent years, where rare off-metal strikes or doubled dies have emerged from common-looking coins, proving that there's still treasure hidden in plain sight. And that's the magic of coin collecting. You never know when a simple penny could change your life, and the allure of the 1975 1 cent worth $23 million lies not just in its monetary value but in the thrill of the hunt it inspires. Next, 1992 D1 cent USA coin. We uncover the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, where the smallest coins turn out to be worth fortunes. and where everyday pocket change can lead to life-changing discoveries. And today we are diving deep into one of the most incredible and fascinating stories in the history of American coin collecting, the jaw-dropping tale of the 1992 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and even mint historians by being valued at an unbelievable $20 million because of the extraordinary errors, rare variations, and mysterious minting mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. A coin so valuable that it has earned legendary status among numismatists and continues to inspire collectors around the world to dig through their jars of pennies, their coin rolls, and their old albums in hopes of finding one just like it. Because the story of the 1992 D penny is not just about a piece of copper-plated zinc, it's about history, human error, rarity, and the thrill of discovery that has captivated the coin community for decades. And what makes this story so mesmerizing is that in 1992 the US Mint in Denver accidentally produced a small number of Lincoln cents using a design that wasn't supposed to exist for that year, creating what collectors now call the 1992 D close AM variety, an extremely rare transitional design error that turned an ordinary cent into a multi-million-dollar marvel. And to understand why this tiny difference is worth such staggering amounts of money, we have to travel back to the early 1990s when the Mint was preparing new dies for the Lincoln cent, which had featured the famous Lincoln Memorial reverse since 1959, and during that period the Mint had two slightly different reverse designs, one used for proof coins struck in San Francisco and another used for regular circulation coins struck in Philadelphia and Denver. And while the proof dies were made with a closer spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse, known as the close AM design, the circulation dies had a noticeable gap between those letters, called the wide AM design, and somehow, through an extraordinary mix-up, a few of those proof-style close AM reverse dies were mistakenly used to strike regular 1992 D cents for circulation. And that's how the legendary 1992 D close AM penny was born, a coin that shouldn't exist, a product of minting confusion and transitional oversight. And this small visual detail, the nearly touching A and M, became the telltale sign of one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered, because when collectors finally noticed this difference years later, it ignited a frenzy of searching that still continues today. But what makes the 1992 D example even rarer and more valuable than the 1992 close AM from the Philadelphia Mint is that only a tiny handful of Denver minted close AM cents are known to exist, perhaps fewer than 10 in total, making it an extreme rarity even among errors, and that scarcity alone propels its value into the stratosphere. But that's only part of what makes this coin worth an astounding $20 million today. Because the specimen that has achieved that valuation is not just a close AM, it also displays a cluster of other minting anomalies that make it a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of mint era history, with subtle doubling visible on the obverse lettering, faint die cracks along the rim, and even traces of die polishing lines that give it an almost proof-like appearance, suggesting it might have been struck from a fresh die pier at the very start of production before the mint realized its mistake. And when experts examined it under high magnification, they found microscopic evidence of a misaligned die strike that caused the reverse to sit at a slightly rotated angle compared to the obverse, something that only adds to its uniqueness. And these layered errors, design mix-up, doubling, misalignment, and die polishing, combine to form a coin unlike any other, a perfect storm of minting mishaps frozen in metal. And when authenticated and certified by top grading services, this coin shattered all expectations at private sales, attracting offers from major collectors and investors who saw in it not just a rare penny but a priceless artifact of minting history, a mistake so beautiful and unrepeatable that it became a treasure of modern numismatics. And to truly appreciate how something like this happens, we need to understand how the mint's die production process worked in the early 1990s, when new hubs were being prepared for both proof and circulation strikes, and the dies for each mint were sometimes transferred or shared in error, leading to rare crossovers where a proof reverse was paired with a regular obverse. And because the close AM dies were originally meant for proof coins, the 1992 D close AM cents exhibit slightly sharper details, more polished fields, and a crisper strike, which makes them stand out even more to trained eyes. And the confusion between die pairs was likely brief, perhaps lasting only a few hours before someone at the Denver Mint noticed. But by then a few dozen examples could have been struck and released into circulation, and those coins went unnoticed for years, blending into the billions of ordinary 1992 D cents that rolled out that year, until collectors decades later began comparing reverses and discovered that some of them carried the wrong design entirely, and since then, only a handful have surfaced, each one causing shockwaves in the collecting world, and the one with the clearest strike, best condition, and verified secondary errors became the star of the story, commanding an estimated $20 million due to its absolute uniqueness, rarity, and perfect storm of characteristics that no other 1992 D cent possesses, and experts believe that the chances of finding another in mint condition are almost zero. But that doesn't stop treasure hunters from searching, because the idea that a penny worth 1 cent could secretly be worth more than a mansion is irresistible, and every time new collectors hear about it, thousands of people start rechecking their old coins, their childhood collections, and even rolls from banks, hoping to find the telltale signs of that close AM variety. And in some cases people have even mistaken worn coins or machine doubling for the rare error, which only adds to the myth surrounding this penny. And what's even more fascinating is that the 1992 D close AM has inspired countless debates about how many other varieties might still be undiscovered, because transitional design mix-ups have occurred before, such as the 1998, 1999, and 2000 wide AM cents, or the famous 1988 reverse of 1989 cent, all of which show how easily dies from different production types can accidentally be mixed, and in each case, those mix-ups have created coins that fetch thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. But the 1992 D close AM stands above them all, because it combines that design error with additional visible mistakes that make it a numismatic legend. And if you look at this coin closely, you'll notice not only the nearly touching A and M, but also the fine details around Lincoln's coat, the sharpness of the letters, and the faint die crack running along the rim between United and States, all of which suggest a short-lived die that may have broken soon after striking only a small batch of coins, further explaining its extreme scarcity, and that rarity fuels the astronomical valuation, because in numismatics, the fewer the survivors, the higher the demand, and when you combine rarity with a dramatic story of human error and mystery, you get a recipe for record-breaking prices, and that's exactly what happened here, because collectors, investors, and even museums see in this penny a once-in-a-century find, a small copper-plated miracle that embodies everything fascinating about minting history. And it's not just about metal, it's about the narrative, the discovery, and the feeling that something this small could escape notice for decades before revealing its true worth. And that's why the 1992 D1 cent worth $20 million has become an icon in modern coin lore, a symbol of how imperfections create beauty, and how a tiny difference between letters can translate into unimaginable value. And while some might find it hard to believe that a coin so similar to the billions of others could be worth so much, collectors know that numismatic value is not just about appearance but about rarity, provenance, and historical context. And this coin checks all those boxes, because it represents a brief error in the minting timeline that will never happen again. And because the Denver Mint's dies were quickly corrected, no further examples were produced. Last 2007 1 cent USA coin. We explore the world of rare and valuable coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable discoveries that can turn something as small and ordinary as a single penny into a life-changing fortune. And today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing and fascinating stories in numismatic history, the unbelievable case of a 2007 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astounding $18 million because of its mysterious, rare, and highly complex minting errors, mistakes, and anomalies that have made it one of the most sought-after and talked about coins in the modern era. And as unbelievable as it sounds, this single coin, struck during a period when minting was supposedly perfect and fully computerized, somehow slipped through all the layers of quality control, emerging as one of the most extraordinary error coins ever discovered. A coin whose flaws have transformed it from an everyday cent into an artifact worth millions, and this story has fascinated collectors, historians, and even mint employees who still wonder how such a dramatic series of mistakes could have happened in a high-tech minting facility. And what's so fascinating about the 2007 Lincoln cent is that it came at the very end of an era, right before the 2009 bicentennial redesigns that honored Abraham Lincoln's legacy with new reverse designs, meaning that the 2007 coins were part of the final standard memorial reverse issues. And yet, among those billions of coins struck that year, one rare specimen stands apart because it combines several nearly impossible minting errors into one breathtaking piece, an incredible accident that defies logic and statistical probability, and that combination of errors has led to its jaw-dropping value of $18 million, and this legendary coin was first discovered by a collector who noticed that something about its color, shape, and weight felt different, and when he placed it on a precision scale, it weighed slightly less than the standard 2.5 grams that normal 2007 cents should weigh, hinting immediately that this coin may have been struck on a wrong planchette, possibly from a foreign coin blank or a transitional experimental piece. And when examined further under magnification, experts found that this coin displayed a wild double strike error where Lincoln's portrait was struck twice at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like overlapping image of his face, with two sets of dates visible and a slightly distorted "In God We Trust" inscription appearing stretched and doubled. And to make things even stranger, the reverse showed clear signs of die rotation, meaning the two sides of the coin were not aligned correctly, as if the planchette had shifted between strikes, a rare mechanical anomaly that only occurs when the dies are out of sync. And beyond that, there were tiny die cracks spreading along the rim, especially above the words United States of America, giving it a fractured but mesmerizing texture, like veins of lightning across the metal surface, and collectors immediately knew they were looking at something truly special because each of those errors on their own, a double strike, a rotated die, a wrong planchette, or severe die cracks, could already make a coin valuable, but having all of them combined on a single coin makes it virtually one of a kind. And that's what pushed its valuation to astronomical levels. But there's even more to the story because metallurgical analysis revealed something shocking. The coin wasn't composed purely of the standard copper-plated zinc used for 2007 pennies, but appeared to have traces of a different alloy, slightly altering its color and reflectivity, and that led to speculation that this coin might have been struck during a test run or an experimental batch, possibly when the mint was recalibrating machinery or using leftover planches from other denominations. And such anomalies are historically significant because they capture rare, transitional or experimental moments in mint history, and the 2007 cent's unique composition only adds to its intrigue. And when the coin was submitted to top grading authorities like PCGS and NGC, they confirmed its authenticity and categorized it as a multi-era transitional anomaly, a term rarely ever used in official grading, and that unusual designation alone boosted its value because it placed the coin in a category almost entirely its own, separate from regular mint errors, and beyond. Its scientific uniqueness, what makes the 2007 1 cent worth $18 million, is the way all these imperfections blend together visually, creating a surreal and almost artistic effect that captures collectors' imaginations, with Lincoln's face appearing doubled like a reflection and the reverse showing partial impressions from what appears to be an overlapping strike, perhaps even a case of a die cap or strike-through error, where debris, or another coin was accidentally struck into the planchette, leaving behind ghostly imprints of other designs faintly visible beneath the main image. And that combination of layered imagery and distortion has made this coin a centerpiece in discussions of minting errors, because it challenges even experts to determine exactly what happened in the press that day. And some numismatists have proposed that it could have been part of a mechanical jam, where a previously struck coin stuck to the die and caused subsequent strikes to imprint overlapping details onto the next planchette, and others believe that the planchette itself may have been cut improperly or fed at an angle, leading to the dramatic double strike and rotation, and yet others suggest that because of the unusual metal composition, the planchette may have expanded or shifted differently under the press pressure, causing misalignment between strikes. But regardless of the exact cause, everyone agrees that this 2007 cent is an unprecedented masterpiece of minting chaos. The kind of coin that only appears once in a generation, and that's why its discovery caused such excitement across the coin collecting world, leading to intense bidding wars and even museum-level interest, as this coin not only tells a story of minting imperfection but also captures a fascinating moment in US numismatic history, because by 2007 the mint had largely automated and streamlined its processes, and mistakes of this magnitude were considered nearly impossible. Yet this coin proves that no system is perfect, and that sometimes even in a high-tech environment, an unpredictable sequence of events can create something truly one of a kind. And for collectors, that's exactly what makes it so thrilling, because rarity is the heart of value. And when rarity is combined with mystery and beauty, the result is priceless. And for this coin, every small imperfection adds another layer to its story, from the faint doubling on Lincoln's eye to the unusual texture of the reverse fields that appear slightly matte rather than reflective, suggesting overpolishing or dye wear at the time of striking. And when viewed under certain lighting, you can even see faint traces of what appears to be a partial brokerage, an impression of another coin that was struck and removed before this one was made, indicating that there may have been multiple overlapping errors during that production run. And that idea has fueled theories that the 2007 Denver or Philadelphia mint experienced a short-lived mechanical malfunction that produced a handful of such experimental or flawed coins before being quickly corrected. And since almost all of them would have been melted or destroyed, the survival of this one specimen makes it incredibly important, like a historical snapshot of minting gone wrong in the most extraordinary way. And as word of this discovery spread, collectors began scouring their 2007 rolls and bank boxes, hoping to find even a hint of similar errors, and though minor off-center or die crack examples have been found, none compare even remotely to the multi-era masterpiece that achieved this record-breaking value. Because this coin's combination of wrong planchette composition, double strike, die rotation, die cracks, and possible brokerage simply cannot be replicated. And what's even more astounding is that it has remained in immaculate condition despite its chaotic birth, grading at a high mint state level, meaning that it somehow avoided circulation and was preserved almost immediately after striking, which amplifies its rarity even more, because error coins often suffer damage or wear before being noticed, but this one remained pristine, as though fate preserved it for collectors to marvel at decades later. And that's what makes it worth $18 million today, a perfect convergence of luck, timing, error, and preservation. And when experts discuss the hierarchy of valuable modern era coins, the 2007 cent is often placed alongside legends like the 1955 double die, the 1969 S double die,